I would like to introduce the first speaker. Lisa Christen has dedicated her life to helping people achieve meaningful, sustainable, and life-fulfilling success. She's a high-performance leadership executive coach and consultant at her firm, Christen Coaching and Consulting. She works with leaders from organizations such as Novartis, Dell, or Google to help her clients achieve more impact than they can ever do by themselves. She believes that every person has greatness in them and that each one of you can achieve their full potential. So do you want to listen how? Yeah. Lisa Christen, the stage is yours.
Jim was the top salesman at a home security company. Month after month, he consistently outperformed all of his colleagues. Let me tell you how he did it. He would start by creating a meeting with potential clients in their homes, and he would ask them to fill out a home safety survey. And then, silly Jim, he would have forgotten something important in his car, and he'd ask if he could slip out the door and come back in while they finished the survey. Families always said yes, and if you can believe this, they actually handed over the keys to their house to him. And that's what made Jim such an effective salesman, because who do you let walk in and out of your front door by themselves? Only somebody that you trust, right? Jim became unconsciously associated with trust in the minds of those families. The unconscious mind. Up to 95% of your thoughts, behaviors, decisions are run by your unconscious mind. Top performers like Jim stand out because they know how to tap into parts of that 95%, both in their own brains and also in the brains of those who need to sign those sales contracts. Now, top performers like Jim, they understand something about our brains. They understand that we process information in a very particular way, first with our animalistic brain, that protection survival brain, before we ever get access to the executive brain. Now, your animalistic brain is always on the hunt for threats. It's always looking. So what decides whether something is a real threat or not is actually your emotions. Now, luckily for you, your emotional brain does check in with your rational brain. So if you see this guy out in the wild, run. That's a real threat. But if you see him at the zoo, he's so cute, let's take a selfie by the cage. But if it is a real threat, your body does go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. And what that means is you no longer have access to the executive center of your brain, the rational, creative parts, because they're not deemed absolutely necessary for your body's survival. And what that means is that your emotions are the bodyguard to you accessing the top performing parts of your brain. And your ability to put a calming feeling and context around any sort of threat that comes your way is where you're going to see top performance. Brain hacks are the methods that are going to help you do just that, regardless of the circumstances and regardless of the pressure. People would rather die than speak in public. I don't know what I'm doing up here today, but they're afraid that they're going to look stupid. They're going to ruin their reputation. But notice something about all of those fears. They're all about you. We suffer from two different kinds of fear. One of them is physical fear. The other one is psychological fear. Now, psychological fear has a nickname. It's also called ego fear because it's all about you. So, what can you do to step out and away from that ego fear? Instead of focusing on yourself, what if instead you were to focus on Jennifer, the recipient of the new drug that you're going to pitch to senior management? When you can attach yourself to something bigger, to a bigger idea, to a greater purpose, It turns the threat detection from scary to exciting. What about when you're furious at Scott, who messed up again in the office and made you and your whole team look bad? Well, you aren't going to magically forgive him. Unless, what if you wrote an apology note from him to yourself? And you imagine how sorry he was and how wrong he was. Now, I know this sounds like fluffy self-help, but it's actually science. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a real apology and a well-imagined apology. And it's enough to calm the threats. So as you can see, brain hacks are the methods that help you to calm the threats, have no more false alarms on your psychological fear, and allow you access to those high-performing top parts of your brain. So let me ask you a question. Are you the kind of person who likes to succeed? Because you now know methods and ways to do that, both within yourself and within others. Welcome to Top Performance. Welcome to Brain Hacks.